I think we're live. There we are, we're live.
Tonight, 3 is the magic number as we get Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic, number 3.
And for the third week in a row, we've got Cameron Grimes in action. No, folks, this isn't a hat trick.
This is NXT.
Welcome, everybody, to What's NXT for September 25th, 2019. I'm your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good morning, wrestling fans.
Yes, this morning of all mornings, we have the second week in a row of live NXT, and fucking wow, man.
They are killing it.
Killing it. 2 weeks in a row. And next week, both hours are going to be live on USA, and it's going to be limited commercials, and there's going to be 3 titles on the line, and
we're excited.
What more reasons do you have not to watch AEW's premiere on TNT?
Oh, yeah.
So
is
yeah,
that next week?
Yeah. Is that next week? So I won't be watching either of them live. I'll be working.
Oh, yeah.
But which one will I watch first? Probably NXT. Because we get off of work, we come here, we watch the show, we do the review.
Yep.
And this week, what a fucking show.
Yes, it was brilliant.
Now, we start off this show with a video recap of last week's show. And why not? You've got 2 hours to kill. And it actually was a pretty good recap. And a lot of shit happened last week. A lot of shit worth recapping. Why not? At least they didn't drag anything out.
No, they didn't.
This was a highlight reel, really. They start the show with a view of the Undisputed Era coming out into this little fucking perch. Their little box seats up somewhere. And they're never really seen there again.
No.
This really only serves one purpose, and we'll get into that later. The show really starts off with, what do you know, Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic 3. I'm like, why the fuck are they starting the show with this?
They need to have a good opener, and sure enough, we get one. This sets the tone for the rest of the evening is what it manages to do.
Now, I will stay up front. This was not as good of a match as they had for their second match.
No.
But it was shorter, and it had different stuff in it, and it had a different outcome. Before I get into all of the different stuff that it had, what were your thoughts on this opener?
There's really no going wrong with these two in the ring. There just isn't. Like, there's, I think, one botch in the entire match, but even then, it was just so not really well covered up, but so played into after that it didn't matter anymore. There's a bunch of physicality in that match, and that just made the finish that much more spectacular, I think. So.
Yeah, they botch some sort of move. I think it was a deadlift German that Keith Lee was going for on Dijakovic, but somehow it gets rolled through, and Dijakovic just kind of goes for the roll-up pin, but he's not close to the ropes. Literally on top of the fucking ropes with this pinfall attempt, and the ref's just like, what do you want me to do with this?
Oh, maybe I'll pull up the chat.
Oh, that is true. There might be people
make sure if anyone's actually watching. That'd be cool. That's the one thing we forgot to do.
Trust me, folks, we have a checklist.
Oh, yes. We have
everything
a
that
list.
we have to do to get ready for the show.
Actually, our next thing on the checklist is to actually make an active checklist.
An actual checklist.
Yes.
We should probably do that.
Yep.
So, I have
several
notes for this match, and I didn't want to go beyond the page, but I had to. Oh, my God. The first power move was Lee pouncing fucking Dijakovic over the top rope.
And I think that's where we got our first not really botch, but I think Dijakovic may have hyperextended something when he was flipping over the rope. Because referee checked with him real quick and he started talking to him. And for the rest of the match, you almost could see his shoulder tensing up. I think he may have just turned the wrong way going over the top rope.
Possibly. But he ends up landing a choke slam on Keith Lee onto the apron. There was a couple of these spots that harken back to their match last time where they were doing, the strength for strength. Like in the first case, it was the reverse of what we saw before, where Keith Lee was putting Dijakovic's face, hitting his face into the turnbuckle. In this case, it was Dijakovic going for the attempt, and he got it, after having to beat on Keith Lee to get him into it after the first 2 blocks. But then he's like, he turns around and he's like, I don't know, recovering or whatever, just taking a moment. But turns around and Keith Lee is like fucking
just leering at
up.
him.
Yeah, and
like he took his last Oreo or some shit.
And then Lee ends up hitting a single arm. I call it a single arm sternum slam. He basically choke slams him, as you told me, by his body. He picks him up by the body and just slams him down on the mat.
That never fails to impress. Because that's almost 300 pounds. It's like 275.
He's super tall.
Mm-hmm.
And he hits a corkscrew crossbody over the top rope onto Dominic Dijakovic. That was awesome. He hits a middle rope moonsault. Perfect moonsault.
He does a moonsault better than half the WWE roster.
Now he goes for a top rope Spanish fly, and I knew this wasn't going to fly for a couple of reasons. First off, he set up Dijakovic's legs on the outside of the ropes, and I really think for the Spanish fly to work, they need to be on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So that tipped me off. But this ends up where Dijakovic counters it, and he sunset flips over the top of him and hits him with a fucking Canadian destroyer off the middle rope.
Or as Mauro Ranallo calls it, his favorite word for the evening, an avalanche. Avalanche Canadian destroyer.
An avalanche Canadian destroyer. And then Dominic Dijakovic goes for a pinfall off of that. No dice. Then he goes for a moonsault. Hits a moonsault. Near fall. Lee sits up out of it.
Cradles takes him with like a baby.
Yeah, he takes him like a fall away slam attempt position, and then rolls back over with him like John Cena style. Mm-hmm. Before Cena would pop him up over his shoulders, and instead he does his finisher instead.
Yeah,
and that's fireman's carry into a jackhammer, and what do they call it? The fucking Big Bang Catastrophe.
Yeah.
For the 1, 2, 3. So 50-50-50 booking.
Yeah.
33-33-33. So you've got win, and disqualification, I guess. Count out.
No contest. We'll call it a no contest. But at the same time, now
win tie. It was a tie, basically.
Now you gotta wonder what they're gonna be put into next, because for the third match, for a tiebreaker more or less, it's gotta be something a little bigger than just a singles match. So.
Who knows? I don't even want to think.
Maybe a 30-minute Iron Man match.
I was thinking more like a 2 out of 3 falls. Standard 2 out of 3 falls.
Mm.
And then you get one of them, either or, winning with 2 falls to 0.
Very cool.
So no more of this 50-50-50 booking. So after this, we get a recap of the standoff on the stage between Candice LeRae and Shayna Baszler with Dugan Shafir from last week. And that's to let us know that next week is Night of Champions, basically, for NXT.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 3 of the 4 titles being defended, and that's one of the matches, Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler. And then we get a recap of the main event chaos from last week. And what that was Matt Riddle versus Killian Dane in a street fight that ended where basically everybody that was available that wasn't in the back celebrating their championships got into a brawl and then brought it all to the ring. And the match never ended.
It's really weird because it's like this next week is almost shaping into a takeover-like event.
Yeah, well, they show Regal from shortly after they ended the show last week. He comes out and he tells them basically everybody to stop.
Yep.
A bunch of assholes. So he says stop, and he says this match is going to continue next week, and this time it'll be on the USA Network during the first hour. And the winner is going to have an opportunity at the NXT Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So this number 1 contender street fight is going to main event the first hour to end their show on USA. And we will get to that in a moment. But before we do, our second match of the night is one we were looking forward to. The
Absolutely.
return of Dakota Kai.
Dakota Kai, I missed her so much.
And let me just say, wow, dude.
Yeah.
This guy. So last week he predicted, I don't know if you did it on the show or not, but you certainly said to me it's going to be Tainara
Yeah.
Conchi.
Yeah.
And now just Tainara. And sure enough, we had basically, it wasn't a squash match really. Like Tainara got a lot of offense
Tainara
in.
got some great offense in. Oh, we got a super chat.
Oh, holy crap. The Holiday, Christopher Mace. Now that they are 1-1-1, do we see a final match with them at TakeOver? And will it be a stipulation match? Great job on the live shows. Yeah, we were just talking about that. And
he wants 2 out of 3 falls. I wouldn't mind an Iron Man match. 30 minutes.
30-man Iron Man match would be cool.
Maybe a British Reynolds match.
Sure, why not?
Might as well.
Hell yeah.
That's actually something I was talking about at work. I was like, that would actually work out better than Sid Scala versus Castizono did, because you have 2 more similar opponents, and it'd be cool to see one of them win one of the falls by submission, because we haven't seen that.
Don't we have 2 months left, though, until...
TakeOver?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying don't even do it on TakeOver. Make it on maybe 2 weeks from now, after this whole Night of Champions thing. Give them a little bit of a break to recuperate.
Too many matches in a row. I think TakeOver might actually be the spot for it.
War Games?
War Games.
Alright.
2 out of 3 falls. I love with War Games how they just stick to the one ring. Like it's...
Yep. It's like the other ring's not even there.
It's not even there. There is no that side of the ring area, the ringside area, but the ring's just not there. And it's like, don't you think some of the matches might spill over into it just briefly?
Well, Tommaso Ciampa used it.
Yeah, but that was to end the show.
Yeah.
That was literally to end the show. A DDT onto that metal thing that is between the 2 rings.
Yep.
And 1, 2, 3. That means shit. You know, but for the rest of the show up until that point, yeah, they didn't use it. So anyway, it would be cool to see some sort of stipulation match, and they fucking break that fourth wall ring barrier, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to call it. So Dakota Kai, yeah, she hits Tainara with that running pie face.
Yep.
With her leg. Normally she does it either middle while she's in the middle, like resting on the middle rope.
Yeah.
Does it there, and then somehow she stands up and then catches it in the face. In this case, just the single one to the face. Does she? And then, yeah, okay. She has a new finisher, I guess. She calls it. I was trying to remember the name of it. It's the GTK Go to Kick.
Yeah. Well, instead of the
Go to
knee
sleep.
strike,
Right? Yeah. But she uses the wrong leg.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It looks awkward. It needs some work.
Like, I mean, if you're gonna do some version of it, like I think Dominik Dijakovic found the perfect one.
Yeah.
This was it was all right. Better than the pie wash, honestly.
Okay.
To me, I feel like those kind of moves, unless they just fall off of it like they do with Sami Zayn, it's so close to the ropes. Like you want something else, and in this case, she did have something else.
I don't know. I think I like her Yakuza kick or pie facing she does to the corner. Maybe she was almost to do like a test like boot just out of the corner of somebody's face. That'd be pretty sick looking.
So after Dakota Kai's victory and celebration, we had Kathy Kelly in the back, who makes the announcement. But this announcement had already been made. You told me about this days ago. Regal had made a match since Imperium wants to come to NXT. We're going to have Alexander Wolf, Marcel Barthel, and Fabian Eichner versus Kushida and a tag team of his choosing. Now, your prediction was...
The Street Profits.
Yes, and that would have been great. But my thoughts were, they are in a championship match next week. I don't think we're going to see them this week. Although,
even then, my thought process was the same thing, the same until right after this promo or for the match got shown, we get a promo from the Street Profits. So, or is that right before the Dakota Kai and Tainara match? Because they're in the back talking about how they had already challenged Red Dragon for the belts.
Yeah, I don't think I wrote it down. It
Yeah.
seemed more like.
It was just such a quick promo that we really didn't even think about it. But the fact that they have shirts made up for "We want all the smoke."
Yeah, that to me is hilarious, but
Yeah.
sure, whatever. Uh, yeah, so my thoughts were what other babyface tag team do we have that's worth a shit?
Hmm.
And the only other tag team is Breezango.
Yep.
And not to spoil anything, but one of us was right. Uh,
Gee, I wonder
so
who.
after this, we get a video package for Johnny Gargano, just reminding you he's still alive. And then again, next week we're getting Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era. That's Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And that's for the tag team titles. And we are also getting Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler for the women's title, if they haven't told you enough at this point. By the way.
Yep. And then we get Riddle versus Dane to decide who's
Yeah.
going to face Adam Cole next week.
On to the main event of the first hour, Street Fight. And this match got, I wrote it down, 23 fucking minutes.
Yep.
2 commercial breaks, sure, but that's 3.5 minutes apiece. So that's what.
That's still
7
16, 17 minutes long. For a Street Fight, that's actually
Well, I mean, they
pretty
did
impressive.
shit during the commercial break, no doubt. They might
Yeah.
have had some resting moments, but what we got to see was like 17 minutes of a fucking 16 minutes of a match, basically, and pretty good.
Yeah. It was a lot better than the last Street Fight, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, the last Street Fight spilled outside really quickly,
Yeah.
especially relative to this match. They hung in the ring there for a while
Mm-hmm.
and did some shit. Riddle hit an Alabama slam and then this corkscrew moonsault senton off the top rope. Got a near fall off of it. Like, they did some shit in the ring, but eventually it spilled out and went everywhere. Well, except outside. They didn't go to the backstage and outside this time. I guess they learned if you do that, you're inviting the whole locker room into your fucking match.
Mm-hmm. You don't go back to catering services and interrupt people's lunch, is what you don't do.
Now, my second note of this match was a spot that I called right before it happened because I'm looking at the wall, and this is what I alluded to earlier when we talked about the show opening with the Undisputed Era coming out to this perch, this personalized box seat that was built into the arena. Well, it was built with walls at the bottom, and one of these walls it had this split up the middle that just seemed a little irritating to me. Like, I feel like the carpenter didn't do a great job. Like, nope, that wall's getting busted through, and sure enough, Killian Dane does that running
Splash.
crossbody splash into Matt Riddle through the wall.
I call them Irish car bombs.
Nice. That's real nice, Jerry. This guy. So that was fun. Riddle with a Broton through the table, off of the risers after giving a fist bump to one of the crowd members, and then Dane does a crossbody through the chair. I don't know what that means. Like he does the running crossbody, and I guess Riddle was gonna hit him with the chair, but he was just holding it.
Yeah.
Still, yeah. Into the chair, into Matt Riddle. I guess that's what I meant. And
Who carries a chair like that anyway?
does 3 Vader bombs. Gets a near fall, so he grabs a chair and he I think he hits Riddle with it, but he puts the chair on Riddle and goes for a Vader bomb, but Riddle gets up and hits him with it, and the match continues.
Mm-hmm.
He hits a power bomb onto this big ass guy. He hits that power bomb and then rolls him through so that he can hit him with the knee strike. Before the knee strike, Riddle grabs a chair, throws it at Killian
Van
Dane.
Terminator style.
Yeah, and then fucking hits
Or
that
Van Damme
that short running knee
Yeah.
strike, near fall. But then he ends up with a little more offense before finally putting on a Fujiwara armbar.
Mm-hmm.
And at first he doesn't get the tap out, but then he bends the wrist back, and almost looks Pete Dunne-ish.
Yep.
But he bends the wrist back, and suddenly fucking Dane was tapping out like crazy. So, again, we do have technically 2 main events. We've got one show on USA and one show on the WWE Network. So, We're going to treat this like we do any other main event, and we're going to rate this on bitch. Here on What's NXT, we like to use the General's 5-star rating system, and you always go first, Terry. So, out of 5 stars, where do you rate this main event for this hour of NXT?
I believe I gave the last one a 3. So, was it either 3 or 2 3/4? One of the two. It wasn't really that high. So, but
I think
this
it was a
one,
2 3/4, but 3 off the back of a great hour.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one 3.5.
Nice.
Because we had an excellent show. Even for just like 3 matches, we had a terrific show. And this match actually had some title implications to it.
Yep.
There was really, there was just actual stuff going on. And even then, we got like even then we got like an attempted post-match beatdown, and Adam Cole even tapping out to the armbar. So
yeah. So after that, after they announce after this, next week it's going to be Matt Riddle versus Adam Cole.
Yeah.
For the NXT Championship. If we didn't tip you off by saying there was 3 title matches next week, yeah, this is the 3rd one. And Cole comes out immediately and confronts Riddle in the ring, and he starts like trash talking him, and like you're not worthy, and like I'm gonna whoop your ass, like whatever. Can't remember what he said. He wasn't talking to him a mic anything, but Riddle just grabs him up by the arm and puts him in that Fujiwara, and he starts tapping too.
Cole just starts tapping like Gregory Hines, like Fred Astaire.
I hate that though, because you know when the title's on the line, he's going to be less likely to tap that quick.
Yeah,
it's the title. Pass out before you tap out, bro.
But just on the heels of that, and the fact that this street fight was a little, I won't say it was more contained, but kept it more with just like a one-on-one competition, which is what it should have been in the first place. Because the fact that he even got thrown out this last week was just garbage.
Yeah, that was garbage.
So, 3.5 sounds relatively fair for this match. Kind of kills Killian Dane's momentum, and we're not really sure what's going to go on with him next.
I'm going to agree. I'm not going to give it any higher than a 3.5 for the match because there was very little story here.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking street fight, and there was cool spots, but it wasn't a classic, and there wasn't much story other than the ongoing rivalry between these two, or not even rivalry. It's Killian Dane trying to take somebody out, and Matt Riddle resisting, and in this case, garnering himself a championship match. But I'm going to give it an extra 1/4 star based off of so far a great hour, great show, and I'm going to call this 3 3/4 stars.
Let's extend the question out to the chat since I'm not sure.
5 people watching, well, 4 including me.
Well, we'll go ahead and throw this out there. Where do you guys see Killian Dane going after this? Who do you want to see him go against next? What kind of feud? Or would you like to see him go to NXT UK? Put your comments and whatnot in the chat or in the comment section below, and we'll address it hopefully by the end of the show or, sometime between there.
Let's see. Don Wooding says, "Morning, gentlemen, and Mr. Mace." Yeah, our moderator, Christopher Mace,
Yep.
always there checking up on the few people that watch the show this early in the morning. Thank you to those that are. Let's move on to hour number 2. We get a recap of Imperium and Kushida from last week, and this is just hyping up what is eventually going to be the main event, the 6-man tag. And first, I was so blessed.
Oh, yes.
Well, we were. Everybody was. Everybody was blessed.
I was shocked by this, but
a wild appearance
yes.
of Rhea Ripley. And I cannot state this enough. This is absolutely true. When she came out and did that intro spot where she stomps her foot to the music or whatever, like, it gave me goosebumps. And I get goosebumps with entrances a lot. Like, Ricochet's used to do it all the time. But these were goosebumps all the way up my arm. Like, where I don't have, those hairs that are like, oh, of course. Like, literally all the way up my arm. I don't think that's ever happened. Like, she is so, like, just, her presence is so good.
Yeah.
Coming to the ring. Shit, in the ring.
Everything about it is just like screams epic. Even with like any jean jacket tug, she comes off more and more confident just coming down to the ring. So
Well, if NXT gets much bigger, I can only imagine what the reaction is going to be on the main roster when she's got, the big fucking Tron and shit
hmm
going and the lights go out and it's pitch black except for her. Like, that's going to be nuts. But in the meantime, she is facing Caden Carter. And I'm curious if she's from Ghana, South, or West
yeah,
Africa?
gone. Yeah,
South Africa.
West Africa.
West Africa,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, because we have Oliver Carter over on NXT UK, and he is from Ghana. It's
And
like
so is
maybe
Kofi.
they're
So is
siblings,
Kofi, wasn't
cousins, or maybe they're married.
he? Yeah.
Wrestling married, it
All
happens.
from the same tribe. Yeah. Is it because everybody in Africa's in a tribe?
Well, if they had the same last name as those two do, I would possibly raise that question.
Yeah.
In this case, Ripley hit a delayed vertical suplex, I think, for the first time since I've seen her wrestle. And it's pretty good, but she went for a pinfall, and they act like it should have been a pinfall when it was a near fall. It was a near fall, but I'm like, when has anyone ever gotten a pinfall off of a delayed vertical? It's cool to watch, but
hmm
nobody, unless you follow it up with a jackhammer, it's not happening. So, Carter looked good. She hit some good offense, some kicks, some ranas.
hmm
Like she hit one Rana coming off the ropes. Like she didn't get any like near falls really, but eventually, Rhea just kind of got pissed off and hit a riptide and
hmm
ended the match. I don't even know what the setup was. Just riptide.
That's pretty much all it was. She's done.
She was tired of getting worked over by the rookie and fucking finished the
Well,
match.
well seemingly they didn't face off in the Mae Young Classic, but they were both in it.
I think we get one of your standard WWE Network commercials, and then another match. No recaps, no promos, just another fucking match. This was okay. We had Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan, and they're facing a couple of jobbers, Chase Parker and Matt Martell. Everrise. These guys faced the Fashion Police,
Yep.
Brizongo, a few weeks ago. And I'd completely forgotten who these guys were. Um, they were the ones that had been best friends since third grade and have tagged together for like 10 years or more.
They dialed back on the hugging and whatnot this time around. So maybe somebody was watching the program. So
I believe they had more in-match success this time around than they did against Breezango, but they still lost, and you knew it was coming.
hmm
Um, they the end of the match, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. I think it was Burch in the ring, and he does this like Hulk up pose thing, and somehow that makes Oni Lorcan on the outside, not even on the apron, just on the outside, like he doesn't even see him, but he hulks up. It's like they have, oh, it's so stupid. And then he gets in the ring and like he's super pumped, but then all he does is hold the feet while Burch drops a dude with a DDT. I'm like, that assisted draping DDT, like unnecessary.
a lot of people do that with the ropes all the
Yeah,
time. What's the
all you need
point?
is the ropes, man, and he does it with the ropes, and that's the thing. And I'm like an assist. When you build an assist into a previous finisher, should be like the ticket to mayhem,
hmm
because they took a ticket to ride, which is basically a double knee code breaker, and the assist comes off of a setup for a tombstone, but he throws
Flip
the dude's
forward,
face
yeah.
up.
Basically, if you're gonna do a tag team finisher and have both your moves like thrown in there, you need to Voltron that shit and make it look awesome.
So after the whole show, we brainstormed. You brought it up. A good finisher for Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, and I think we settled on a high-low where Danny Burch comes off the ropes with a headbutt to the head, and Oni Lorcan comes off the other ropes with a chop block to the back of the knee.
Yeah,
Because Burch has got that wicked headbutt.
yeah. Call it the Hooligan Holiday.
I didn't even brainstorm. That's all him, folks.
Yep.
Sometimes he's cruel, but sometimes he's brilliant. They showed Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo in the crowd. I guess Deonna Purrazzo is now here instead of NXT UK. Whatever. I think she's coming off of an injury.
I'm about to say she's been gone for quite some time. Like for a while there, she was extremely prominent. She was around when Dakota Kai, like, she left around the same time Dakota Kai did.
Didn't she job to uh, Isla Dawn
Yeah.
and then ended up jobbing to Dakota Kai?
Yeah.
Like, and then she was gone. Up next is a match. Again, not a lot of other shit. In fact, this WWE Network hour was void of promos and recaps and bullshit like that. Well, one recap of Imperium, but that was it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Cameron Grimes versus Raul Mendoza. And again, as we said in the cold open, Cameron Grimes, third week in a row. Like, I don't know what this guy is doing, but this is a rematch from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, maybe we're just overly tired, but I look back at my notes from 9/11, and sure enough, it's Raul Mendoza again.
Yeah, this was a longer match, and I think a better match. I've got a lot of notes for this match. What did you think about it?
I was thrilled with the match because I thought it was the first time I was seeing it.
Yeah,
because
me too.
because Raul Mendoza is actually a really talented guy, and I would love to see him pick up a win. But at the same time, I didn't want to see Cameron Grimes lose the role he's on at this point. Because Jordan Miles, he really hasn't done anything since losing
the
to Cole.
NXT Championship match.
So now you have Cameron Grimes, who's like the runner-up, just on a roll at this point.
Coming off of one of the worst promos, backstage camera promos that I have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst that I've ever seen in NXT. He is on a 3-match winning streak.
And he's also
3
getting
weeks in
in
a row.
more and more shape, like by the week it seems.
That was the first thing that I noticed, is that Cameron Grimes now has abs. And I think something inside of me tells me that Triple H told him, he said, "Look, kid, if I can see your abs by next week, I'll put you on live TV 2 weeks in a row. But 3 weeks technically on NXT television."
Mm-hmm.
Even though there was probably a good 2 to 3 weeks in between the taping and when that aired. Anyway, this match was pretty damn good. Good grief. Mendoza ducks the insta. Okay, so first off, we see Cameron Grimes attempt to finish this match the way he did last week, where dude runs in
really
and he
quick,
just does that jumping double stomp to the chest. Mendoza ducks it and then turns around and waves his finger at him like, "Nope. Nope, I know what you were trying to do there."
You tried to Maluda me.
Let's see. My next note is kind of this peeved me off a little bit. So, Raul Mendoza had Cameron Grimes in a top wrist lock, and you see this all the time. And some wrestlers come up with creative ways to get out of it. A lot of the smaller guys, they will do a handstand onto their head and a headstand and then jump forward to get out of it. Basically, there's a direction you have to roll to release the pressure. He went the opposite way. And I'm like, is he double jointed to the fact that he can completely turn his arm around like, say, a G.I. Joe? Like, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. After that, this was a pretty good match. Raul Mendoza hit a springboard into a side headlock takeover, and that was just really cool. It was followed by a side headlock that lasted for way too long, but still. My next note is, okay, so both the guys are coming off the ropes, and Mendoza goes for a crossbody, but Cameron Grimes does a backflip. So essentially, he does a backflip power slam, or a Spanish fly power slam. And this was an amazing move, and it got me thinking, why does nobody ever go for like a fall away slam? Yeah, standing fall away slam, and then do a backflip into essentially a moonsault power slam.
Yeah.
And I think it would be best done off the middle rope, because you could kick off of it. But nobody ever does that, and I'm like, man, that would be a great finishing move. It'd be like a standing moonsault, or a standing,
especially for a bigger guy like Keith Lee,
cradle moonsault. Yeah, Yeah, he could definitely do that.
Keith
just
Lee
about
could
anybody.
definitely do that. With that, the possibilities would be infinite.
So a little bit of offense from Grimes, a Superman forearm. This was cool. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was executed really well, and it's not a blatant ripoff. He didn't hit him with his fist. So there you go. And Raul Mendoza hit this wicked Shining Wizard coming off of the ropes, like just both like ouch. It looked like it hurt. Anyway, he hits this cartwheel into an enziguri while Cameron Grimes is seated on the middle rope. Or, well, he's seated on the top rope, but, feet are on the middle. And then he goes out to the apron and does a Frankensteiner, like leaps into, springboards into a Frankensteiner. My note here is that for some reason Mauro Ranallo called it an avalanche Frankensteiner. This harkens back to when we mentioned earlier Moro's word of the night. Now, isn't avalanche Frankensteiner a little bit redundant?
A little bit.
How else would you do a Frankensteiner other than avalanche? The only other way I could think to do it would be off of like an electric chair.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a hell of an assist, but still, it's all avalanche. Anyway, that was just a little weird. The match ends with an Okada roll for a near fall that Grimes gets kicked out of, but then he comes back with that fucking double stomp just instantly. 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I kind of figured Grimes was going to win because he's on a streak. Like, why would you end it to Raul Mendoza?
Well, the only other way I think that he could have come off strong and possibly established himself a little bit further as a heel is for possibly Mendoza to either, like, for Grimes to get disqualified in some way, shape, or form, or for Mendoza to get a quick roll up and Grimes to snap and maybe grab something out of his hat. Some sort of gimmick thing they may have, like,
that would be fine if this was going to be an ongoing feud. But considering we found out that this was the second match in 3 weeks,
yeah,
I don't think this needs to be an ongoing feud.
That would be something though. He has that top hat. Maybe he has like a pair of brass knucks or something taped on the inside. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, hide an illegal weapon in there. That's genius.
Yeah, just kind of pull it out like a magician.
So we are on to the main event, and this is the 6-man tag. This is where we get to find out the mystery partners for Kushida, who comes out first, which is just, oh my god. Oh, it's so stupid. Because, okay.
Actually, I was questioning it, but then I saw the motives behind it afterwards. But you go on first.
So they had Kushida come out, then Imperium, and then the mystery partners. And I'm like, Imperium should have come out first, and then Kushida, then his partners. Like, and if you have his partners come out after Kushida, in the order that it's supposed to happen, first team, then the next team. Then you give away the surprise before it, like, So, yeah, that's how they came out. And that was the worst part about this match. And for that, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, Kushida coming out first, and then we had, I'm going to go ahead and call it the perfect entrance from Imperium. So, like, we get those three coming out completely in sync with each other, wiping their feet on the mat, all to bring in the same leg at the same time, then doing the stance right in the middle of the ring. That was very sick looking.
We've got a question from Mark Reviews. He says, guys, do you think Undisputed lose all their titles next Wednesday to the Street Profits and Matt Riddle, then move Undisputed Era to Raw? I would say no, that's a bad idea. For one, that they wouldn't lose all their titles because Roderick Strong would still have the North American Championship.
Yeah.
And that would cause problems, which is fine, but leave them in NXT because Raw already has more superstars than they know what to do with, and they've already gutted NXT enough over the last, 9 months.
The WWE draft is coming up, though. We have 6 competitors coming out there.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Thanks for dropping the bad news live on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel.
Yeah. They're doing that soon.
So it was, in fact, the Breezango. It was the
Yeah.
Fashion Police, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, and yeah, because we're getting the Street Profits Network, so we can, as you said, we got sort of a promo. It was more like a commercial.
I was about to say, if there's any other team that Imperium wouldn't be able to stand because of their ring entrance and
Their
mannerisms and
gimmick,
just their gimmick in general,
because the ring is sacred.
it's Fandango and Breezango, and yeah,
So we see a lot of Bartel and Eichner's number one hits.
yeah,
We saw the spine buster into the
penalty
penalty
kick.
kick, but after that, Eichner picks up whoever the fuck it was and slings him into Marcel Bartel, who does that tilt a whirl, like it's like a side slam or a body cutter. Although it doesn't really cut the body, more like releases, but still, I don't know what else to call it. Literally spent like 5 minutes trying to name this move.
That's why we're on a little bit later.
Yeah, a little bit later than normal. And after this, we get Breezango coming off of the ropes onto, I think it was Wolf, who was draped over the top rope with matching kicks to the side of the head. And I'm just like, ouch. And it made me think of the concerto.
Yeah,
And I thought, if there was one chair to the head move that actually is safe, it would be the concerto. Because when done properly, you never hit the son bitch.
nope.
It's like, it would be
You're
like,
smacking the chairs more or less.
yeah, basically it's the equivalent of hitting the cymbals behind somebody's head like they did in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent, and I'm like, but chair shots, yeah, they should just ban them. They should publicly chair shots to the head, say they're illegal, like a nut shot. Although you can do a ball shot during a no DQ match, but I feel like that's the only time you could do a chair shot to anywhere. So you just say, yeah, it's illegal. You're immediately going to lose the match, and you'll be fined and suspended. Like make it, and that way, if you have to work it into a storyline, it's even more epic.
Yeah.
But anyway, after this, we get those stereo basement drop kicks to Tyler Breeze. And Breeze is getting worked over, and he's fighting to get to the corner. And he finally gets some air. Like, he takes out the two guys in the corner, takes out, I think it was Marcel Bartel, like, sends him over the top rope. And he goes to get to a tag. And right where he jumps out to tag anybody, fucking the other two guys from Imperium yank him off the fucking...
Wolf and Eichner just snatch him right off.
Yeah, right off the apron. And then Breeze has to fight again. Eventually, he gets the hot tag to Fandango. And he hits a lot of offense, but my first note for him is the tope con hilo over the top rope onto all three of Imperium on the outside. And I was like, wow. Back in the ring, Kushida got the hot tag when Fandango was coming off the ropes for that tope con hilo. And him and Marcel Bartel, I think, are legal. So he hits this. It's like a rolling thunder into a DDT. But then I think he holds on and he turns it into a what was it? A armbar.
Yep.
Yeah, just like a
Just regular armbar.
regular armbar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exclamation point.
Yeah.
But then Wolf and Eigner come in and interfere, but then they get taken out onto the outside. They get up onto the ropes, and Kushida hits that, what do they call it, handspring, double heel kick to knock them both off the apron. And he goes to do the handspring off the ropes, like a back elbow probably, but Bartel counters with a European uppercut to the back of his head.
Mm-hmm.
That was sick sounding. Anyway, Kushida somewhere off of that, like, goes forward and does an Okada roll and gets the 1-2-3 off of a fucking fruit roll at victory.
Yeah.
And then immediately exits the ring and goes up the ramp and celebrates on the stage.
Celebrates for too long.
Turns around into Walter kicking him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes down. Let's see, we have a question. Mark's reviews. Okay, last question. If Undisputed Era aren't moved to Raw, do you think they could add another member? Maybe Tommaso Ciampa or maybe Johnny Gargano. It's like Hogan joining the Outsiders. I don't think you go Johnny Gargano because his feud with Cole was way too personal.
I think if anything, Cole will eventually be ousted and somebody else be taking over as leader.
I think unless you have a full-on faction where there's just tons of people like the NWO, I think for NXT 4 is the perfect number here.
Well, you also gotta figure if they want all the gold as well, maybe they would add a female member after a bit.
Maybe a female,
Yeah.
sure.
I see a female being added to the Undisputed Era.
Absolutely, but not another male, I don't think. Yeah, that ends the show with Imperium posing on the stage. So we end NXT with NXT UK's superstars on top.
Which is kind of where they need to be anyway.
This match was pretty great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it awesome. I would call it pretty great until the very end when Kushida got a fucking roll-up.
A roll-up?
I would have rather seen him win any other way. Yeah. Other than, like a shitty count-out or...
I would have loved to see him lose.
Well, yeah, in a perfect world, but, they're going somewhere with this, so there's a point for Kushida to have won. I was hoping that Regal was going to come out after the Imperium pose and tell Walter that he was going to defend his championship against Kushida next week.
Yeah.
Since all these titles are being defended and they happen to be showing up on NXT, well, we'll have you defend yours too.
Yeah. Or maybe make an 8-man tag and throw Walter in there and have Pete Dunne be on the team as well.
Sadly, none of that happened. Maybe after the show that happened. Maybe we should check back in a few days. But, sadly, none of that happened. That was the end of the show. And, again, here on What's NXT, we like to rate the main event using the General's 5-star rating system. And, again, out of 5 stars, what do you give this?
I still give it another 3.5. I'm not going to say it was a terrific match. And it was an excellent 6-man tag because we had a lot of what I love seeing in those kind of matches. Imperium pretty much had Tyler Breeze just cornered almost that entire match. He very seldomly ever got over to the other side. There was always somebody working him over. And we got to see all the Eichner and Bartel's greatest hits. We got to see a lot of cool stuff out of Bartel anyway, and then everybody started shouting 9 when he nailed that stick-lifting uppercut on the outside of the ring. So, but the ending of the match kind of killed my mojo.
The whole thing.
Yeah, the end.
It pulled the rug out. It was like this great house of cards just built up to the ceiling, and then the ending just pulled the rug.
Yeah, a toddler just came and pulled up and took the rug and just pulled it, or maybe like the family dog. Well, it's like ooh, Ruffles grabbed it by the side, just started pulling it down the hallway. Fuck that. But it was like 3.5 sounds fair enough to me, especially coming off the heels of what I consider to be a pretty solid second hour.
Well, you know me. If it's a great match, it starts at 4 stars.
Yeah.
However, for that finish, I'm going to downgrade it 1/4 star. And normally I would give it 1/4 star coming off the back of a great show. But I already gave it to the first hour main event.
Yep.
I'm going to settle this at 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of this episode of What's NXT. Thank you for joining us, and please join us tomorrow, or possibly it might go up on the day after. Who knows? But join us tomorrow where we are going to review NXT UK episode number 62.
You are going to.
Yeah, I say we. It's going to be me and Evan. Evan's going to be on the show for the first time, and I was thinking maybe since Jerry won't be able to do it, I have to do it during the day on a Thursday instead of at night Friday morning, and I have to do that because I've got a 3-day music concert to go to in Louisville called Louder Than Life, and I've had tickets for like 7 months, and been looking forward to this.
But you're going to be deaf.
By the time he gets off of work, I'm going to be asleep because I have to get up in the AM and go to this concert because it's an hour drive, and so it will not be the both of us. It will be me, and I was thinking a guest host. And it just so happens, and God help me, every time we announce it ahead of time, something happens. But Jeff Meacham is supposedly free.
Yeah.
So I might have a special guest host in Jeff Meacham tomorrow for the NXT party. with our first time guest.
Evan Francis. You may remember him from helping Cindy G and good brother Chris while we were in Toronto. So
Now, forgive me and correct me if I'm wrong, but this will be the first actual wrestler that we will have join the NXT, and that is incredibly cool.
Yeah.
So join us tomorrow for that. In the meantime, if you would like to be on a future episode of the NXT party, up on the big screen on Skype.
up there.
All you need is Skype, watch an episode of NXT UK, get a hold of us. You can leave your email address down there in the comments if you have no social media. But if you do, you can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN, like it says on the shirt. Or if you just want to,
NoDQ.
yeah, if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stephan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, that R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter
At NoDQ Journal, and my Facebook group are capital RMBAR
exclamation point.
Lots of memes, lots of discussions, a lot of heavy discussions at this point, a lot of bickering about AEW and all this other crap going on.
I wish we could all just enjoy wrestling and talk about it with each other.
Yeah, but that's not what the internet's for.
Nope, that's not what the internet's for. That's how you get us on Facebook. Don't add us, we won't add you.
No.
You can find me on Instagram now at Osborne, that's the bottom one, .Stefan.
Yep.
That's where I have no content, just a profile picture, and 50-some subscribers. Help me get to 100 because it'd be hilarious.
You should have a picture of a cat on there, you'd probably have a lot more.
Yeah. So if you like our video, please do us a favor. Click that like button that's over here underneath me. And if you like all of our videos, do yourself a favor. Click the subscribe button that's over there underneath Jerry. And if you are subscribed, you are watching this on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel. Of course, click that bell icon, though. That'll let you know the next time we go live. If you caught this halfway through the show, maybe you can catch us from the beginning and listen to us while you have breakfast.
Mm-hmm. That'd be awesome.
And if you'd like to watch NXT UK's review show, the NXT Party, that goes first on Aftermatch Wrestling and in HD. That's all one word, AFTERMATCH, Aftermatch Wrestling. Search for that on YouTube, and that is our channel. We have gone over 100, that's why we're doing this show live on NoDQ. But in order for us to go live with NXT UK's review, the NXT Party, on our channel, we need 1,000 subscribers. So help us get there.
Scribe our names on the bathroom stalls, spray paint it, whatever.
Yeah, we have a giveaway.
Yep.
If you help to promote our channel, Aftermatch Wrestling, and you watch an episode of NXT UK's review show, the NXT Party, share it or whatever, and just send me a screenshot, just proof that you shared, and I will add you to the pool, and somebody's getting a board game of Clue.
Yep.
Which is like top 10 board game, top 10 movie, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Easily.
Wadsworth is the shit.
Yeah, that's got to be Tim Curry's next to best role.
Oh, the next to best? What do you think's the best one?
See, that's the thing. I don't want to pick a best. I just call this one the next to best.
No. Wadsworth was his best role.
Was it?
Yes.
Was it better than him as the head clerk in Home Alone 2?
Yes.
Okay. Because that was supporting role, you know. He was absolutely lead in this.
I was about to say, absolutely.
That is...
Like, short Pennywise the Clown, I think Tim Curry... Well, Frankenfurter I would put right under Wadsworth.
Well, let's make this a short walk down a path that leads nowhere. Sorry we got into that. Again, win Clue by helping support the channel and sharing us with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. If you have friends that watch NXT or NXT UK, maybe they'll like watching us bullshit about it. In the meantime, I think that's all the plugs.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Do we have any other questions or comments at this
Probably.
point?
There's actually 10 people watching now, so that's amazing.
Wow.
So as we said, when we go live, we're gonna. This is probably gonna take a while, but or maybe not long. What do you guys, Tommaso Ciampa or Gargano, Undisputed Era? I think that would be a top 10 moment of all time for NXT. Possibly Tommaso Ciampa if he comes back, when he comes back. But again, I don't think it should be Johnny Gargano.
I think Ciampa would be more of a mentor role than anything else, especially with his neck injuries.
I think it would be better if he came back and double crossed Johnny Gargano again.
Yeah.
come back and look like a baby face, and then immediately when he has the reunion with Johnny Gargano, double cross him. So,
or have Gargano double cross him. Change it up.
Mark's review says, I think Adam Cole will end up being the next Shawn Michaels this time in about 10 years, and Gargano being like Bret Hart.
I can definitely see that. I see him headlining WrestleMania sometime within the next decade or so.
And he gave the 6-man main event 2.5 stars. Said Breezango didn't give off enough star power to be beside Kushida. See, everybody is real high on Kushida.
Well, Kushida's a big name overseas and whatnot. He's just not established here. So
yes, who wins Bret Hart versus Kenny Omega in a Hell in a Cell match? Easily Kenny Omega now because Bret Hart's like 60 years old.
What the hell does that have to do with the show?
It's okay. It's okay. It's the end of the show. Colin the Cleaver says, after-match wrestling. And he's been doing this for the last 9 months. Doing what? Oh, doing the show with us?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are actually... We didn't mention this during any part of the show that anybody's going to actually watch, but this is our 1-year anniversary. Basically, it's not to the date or anything, but we've been doing What's NXT for a year now.
Yep.
Holy fuck.
I think it was the 27th was the first show we did.
Yep. By the time we get around to the next show, it'll be after that. So this is basically our 53rd episode, something like that. If you don't count the fact that we didn't do it the week we went to Toronto.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't.
Well, I was about to say we've missed very few shows.
Christopher May says, will Imperium being on NXT eventually set up Undisputed Era versus Imperium or Games? We've been saying this for weeks and months. Like we said, we hope. We hope.
Not sure how they're going to pull it off or if they're going to, but if they do,
promoting our channel.
We're not gonna be against it.
So Colin has been promoting the channel for 9 months, and he says, "Happy anniversary tacos for all." Unless you plan on actually buying us tacos, don't fucking say that.
It's I don't think my stomach can handle it right now, but I'll try to eat my 8 or 9.
Mark's review says, I would like to be a part of the No DQ family and do a podcast with you guys. Absolutely. So when we end this, you can go down to the comments and leave your email address, or, again, with all the plugs we did, find us on one of the social media sites, send us a message, and we can get you on Skype. Just watch an episode of NXT UK, and we'll work out a schedule around you if need be. Mm-hmm. And we'll do an NXT party. Absolutely. I think that is all of the questions and all of the plugs. So for the General Jerry Slaughter, I am the Wizard of No DQ, Stephen Osborne. Thank you for having a spot of... No, that's tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Oh, the Cleaver at the last moment, because Chris Mace became the Super Chat champion. I forgot to say that was a $5 Super Chat. So congratulations to Chris Mace, because you just got beat by Colin Andrew. Get some tacos, he says, for $5.
We don't see any of the money.
Yeah, all this money goes to Aaron. It's his channel. There is no bypass or anything. Like, this all goes to Aaron, and it's fine. We have jobs. Like, Aaron does this for a living, so all of this helps him, have a living. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Mark's review says it won't get lost in the comments. No, the live comments maybe, but the comments after this show goes to be on demand.
Find us on YouTube.
Yeah, very rarely do they go double digits, so yeah, it's not going to get lost. Just leave it in the comments, and we will find you. All right. Again, for the General Jerry Slaughter, I'm the Wizard of No DQ, Stephen Osborne. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you in NXT time.